Hello, I'm Kim,
And I'm Ryan.
and we're with P&W Insurance. And the question of the week we get all the time: really, how much should we be paying for homeowners insurance? What factors go into that?
Yep.
So Ryan,
Exactly.
we came up with I think 7 of them. There's quite a few. So you want to share at least one of them right now? And
Exactly. We'll just kind of roll through the main 7 factors. So factor number 1 would be location. So it's interesting that home insurance companies, you often don't think of this, but they're looking at where the house is relative to the nearest fire hydrant and the nearest fire station, and also how likely is that fire station to be able to get to you, right? Is it a volunteer station? Is it a permanent station? So generally what we see is the more rural you go, the higher you're going to pay for home insurance because you're typically further away from a fire hydrant or a fire station.
yes, next thing that comes into play actually is the age of your home.
Mhm.
So if you have an older vintage home, maybe built in the 1900s, those tend to be more expensive to rebuild if you had a catastrophic loss versus a newer home. So that does come into play on the age of your home.
Exactly. Yeah, you got a brand new home. You're going to get a really good insurance premium for the first few years.
Right.
So the next thing is going to be the size of the home, right? Notice we don't say value because insurance companies, they don't care what you bought the house for, really. Their job is to rebuild that house, right? So if it burns down, they want to know what's it going to take to rebuild this house, and we all do a replacement cost calculator to try to figure that out. So generally the larger the house and the more square footage, the more it's going to cost to rebuild, and hence the more you will pay for home insurance.
Correct. And the fourth item, actually claims. So if you've had a claim, they go back 5 years. So if you've had a claim like on renter's insurance or another home, it carries with you, and it can affect the premium for at least 3 years. So that does come into play when you're looking at homeowners premiums.
Yep. And something you should know if you're buying a new home is, the claim follows you, it doesn't follow the house.
Correct.
So if the previous owner had a claim, it might show up, in the claims history report, but it should not affect your insurance rate.
That's correct.
So that's important to know.
And then you had also the next one was flood insurance. You want to share a little bit about that for us?
Yeah. So more and more we see more areas being put into what's called the 100-year flood zone. And so if you're near a river or a lake, sometimes depending on where your house sits, the elevation of the house relative to the river and the floodplain, your mortgage lender may require that you have flood insurance. And that can range anywhere from $500 a year all the way up to $5,000 a year.
That's right.
So just something to be aware of there.
Yep. And then also coverages. Do you realize that there's not one person that has the exact same coverage? Because you might have certain collectibles that you want to insure. You might want to get the earthquake on your homeowner's policy. So there's different coverages that you can get that will be of interest to you and what you feel that you need to protect you, your family, and your home.
Mm-hmm. And then the last thing would be credit, right? So insurance companies at this point do look at your credit history, and rate you, based loosely on your credit score.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that is under contention, at least in Washington. They're maybe going to change that rule, but for the time being, credit is definitely a big factor. So you'll definitely see, if you have a credit score in the 600s, you might pay $300, $400, $500 more a year for the same house than somebody that has an 800 credit score for home insurance. So just something to be aware of.
So those are at least 7 items that factor into homeowners insurance, and you probably didn't even know there were so many factors that go into it. So that's our question of the week, and I hope it was helpful for you to get this information.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you.
And one of the last thing I guess I would say to that is, as far as how much should you be paying, one of the cool things about what we do is we actually shop your insurance through 10 different companies automatically.
Yes.
So we get a very good range right away to know, okay, this is what you qualify for, and it's going to vary a lot between different companies, but we can give you that snapshot pretty quick and easy, so you know what the fair price would be for your home insurance.
Yeah, so give us a call. Thanks.